All right, Lisa, you ready?
Looks like we are good, sir.
Okay, let's call to order Sparks City Council meeting of 3/22/21 with a roll call, please.
Mayor Lawson,
Here.
council members Abbott,
Here.
Vanderwell,
Here.
Anderson,
Here.
Maybe,
Hi. Here.
Dare,
Here.
City Attorney Adams,
Here.
City Manager Kurtz.
Here.
We have a quorum, thank you.
Okay, let's opening ceremonies. We got Pastor Pete Vossler for our invocation. You brought Pete over.
Yes,
All right, take it away, sir.
thank you. I appreciate all the good work you guys are doing. Thank you, Lord, for blessing us in this new time, new era, new day for the city and all the great work that our team is doing there. I pray that you would give them great wisdom as they go forward. Many things are going to happen, Lord, that are different than we've ever experienced before, but they're ready for the task. Thank you for your anointing. Thank you for your goodness. And we ask your blessing upon this great city from north, south to the east and the west. In your mighty name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Abbott, you want to lead us in the pledge?
Be honored to. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Madam Clerk, we have public comment and you have a disclaimer to start off with.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Due to the social distancing requirements enacted in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Sparks City Council meetings will be hosted in this virtual setting until further notice. The safety of Sparks residents, employees, and elected officials are important to us, and we appreciate your patience as we journey through this virtual meeting together. The City of Sparks uses Zoom, a third-party app, for its virtual meetings and does not control its technical specifications or requirements. Your ability to participate in public comment during this meeting may be impacted by factors like the type of device you use, the strength of your internet or cellular signal, and the company that provides your internet or cellular service. The City of Sparks is not responsible if you are not able to participate in a meeting through Zoom due to these or any other factors. For those watching and listening from home, general public comment will be announced for items 4 and 12.1. If you wish to speak during general public comment, you will need to call in using the phone number or join via the meeting link provided on the City Council agenda. Public comment will not be permitted on social media outlets. All participants will be muted upon entry to the meeting. If you would like to speak during public comment items, please press *9 from your telephone or raise your hand on your computer or tablet when prompted. You will be called on to speak one at a time by the name or the telephone number you are calling from. No video callers will be admitted to the meeting. When you are called on to speak for public comment, state your name for the record and begin speaking. The timer will begin when you say your name and you will have 3 minutes. Please remember, any comments or questions cannot be addressed or answered by the council if the topics have not been agendized. Any person who disrupts the meeting to the extent that it is disorderly conduct will be removed. And at this time, if anybody would like to participate in public comment, please press *9 from your telephone or utilize the raise your hand feature on your Zoom app. And I'm showing none, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right, move on to item 5, agenda. I'm looking for approval of the agenda. Mr. Abbott,
To approve?
Second.
who gave the first? Was that Chris?
I think it was.
Yeah.
You're muted.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, Christopher, so I need you to speak up or turn your volume up or something. Okay. I got a first and a second. Any further comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Minutes, item 6.1, possible approval of the minutes of the council meeting for March 8th, 2021. Looking for a motion.
I'll
Ms.
go ahead
Spivey.
and make that motion, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the minutes of the Sparks City Council meeting for March 8th, 2021 as presented.
Okay, looking for a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Anderson, second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item 7, announcements, presentation, recognition, and items of special interest. 7.1, presentation, final report from the University of Nevada, Reno regarding the presence of COVID-19 virus in wastewater and community prevalence monitoring. Or is it prevalence? Or is it tomato?
Prevalence, Mr. Mayor.
Krishna, how are you, sir? Welcome back.
How are you? Mayor Lawson, thank you for this opportunity. What we want to do is present to the City Council for the next 10, 12 minutes, final summary of our final report to the city, which we already did a draft version on the project wastewater monitoring to determine COVID-19 prevalence in the community. So if you give me permission, I will start sharing my screen and open the PowerPoint presentation.
Please do.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and the City Council members. I'm glad to be present here and make this presentation on investigation of SARS-CoV-2, which is the virus that causes COVID-19 presence in wastewater, and monitoring of community prevalence. If you remember, I had given you a interim report a while back and acknowledged all the parties involved, including other agencies, as well as the city staff, as well as several members of UNR community. Today, I'm joined by 3 colleagues from UNR, Dr. Lynn Lee, Dr. Laura Hawk, and Nilofer Garoon, who will join me in the presentation. And also on the call is Mr. Rick Warner, who was instrumental in conducting this project. And I want to thank City Manager Neil Kreutz and John Martini and Michael Drinkwater for their support during the project. I can. Okay, I'm ready to go. So this will be the outline of our presentation. We want to touch upon 3 main focus areas, 2 through 4. And the first one is just an information to tell you that the project that the city has supported through the CARES Act funds have built capacity at UNR to conduct these type of studies, as well as a multi-purpose lab, which has been equipped with the equipment that can be used for different water studies in the future in our community. And we will focus mostly on the 2 through 4, which is the 3 important tasks. One is monitoring the influent wastewater at Tumworth and other regional water reclamation facilities, and monitoring COVID-19 by virus measurements in the sewage within the sewer network system. And then lastly, looking at what is happening to the virus as the wastewater goes through Tumworth. Are we treating it, eliminating it completely before we discharge it to the river or reuse? And then I briefly will come back and mention the next steps. These are some photographs which I have also shown the last time around. I just want to reiterate, this lab is fully functional and operating at its full capacity at UNR in the new William and Pennington Engineering Building. And I hope to have all of you come and visit this lab as soon as the pandemic situation improves and we have clearance from the governor's office that we can have visitors. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in that lab, perhaps in summer or in early fall for sure. So this is a multi-purpose lab, and it's got lots of really cool stuff to do this type of work, as well as other work that we can do using our water reclamation facilities, drinking water facilities, and in general, anything related to water. And some of the students who are working in the lab are shown here. Now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Lynn Lee. She is the lead person in conducting this work, who will present primarily on how we monitored the influent wastewater at Tumworth and other facilities, and what it means in terms of the community prevalence of the disease. I have listed here several others as well, who are involved in this particular task, but Lynn is going to speak on that. Lynn, are you here?
Yes, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Pakila. Now I'm going to present our results of SARS-CoV-2 monitoring in Tamworth and some other water resource facilities in Washoe County. Okay, here from the left map, it shows some different stewadships of 5 water resource facilities in Washoe County. From this map, you can see the big blue area is the stewardshed of Tamworth. In this one, you can see there is a bright line in the middle. The upper side of the north part in this map is the Sparks interceptor, and the south part is the Reno inspector. So, and in the south side of the map, and then here, all of those 2 interceptors comes into Tamworth and mixed immediately in the headwork of Tamworth. Now let me show you what we have found out during a 6 months wastewater monitoring. From the upper left figure, it shows the monitoring results of SARS-CoV-2 in the mixed flow of Tamworth in each sampling day. From here, you can see the wastewater content, the virus concentration has been analyzed into 2 gene markers of N1 and N2 in this figure. The concentration results are shown as gene copies per liter, which means the higher concentration of N1 or N2 concentration means the more virus has been shed into the wastewater. Accordingly, we have collected the data of daily reported new cases in the same sampling day from Washoe County Health District in Tamworth, specific in this stewadshed. This data is shown as the gray bar in this figure, and the daily new cases were all normalized by per 100,000 capita. So we start monitoring in July 2020, you can see from this figure. At the beginning of the pandemic, we could see very low concentration of the virus in the wastewater, as well as the low reported daily new cases. The virus concentration shows the same trend with the daily new cases, especially before the beginning of the October. Most of the wastewater samples were below the detection limit, very, very low concentration. After that, virus concentration starts to increase, and the peak was observed in the middle of November. Then the curve began to decrease until the middle of January this year. This trend fits the clinical data of the daily new cases very well. Then let's have a look at the smaller stewadshed area, the stewadshed of City of Sparks. The results are shown in the second figure, and then we can see also a similar trend. Like the peak also observed in the middle of November, and then the concentration goes to decrease. Also, we can observe this peak is at around 1 week earlier than the reported daily new cases. Besides this monitoring, one of our goals is to establish a predictive model to estimate what might happen in the community of COVID-19 from the data that we can collect it from the wastewater. So we tried different mathematical methods, try to set up different predictive model, and then one model shows the best regression result when we use the 7 days lag data, which means we use the wastewater monitoring results that collected today and then to predict the daily new cases in 1 week ahead. In this analysis, we found that, excuse me, the 3 variables that very significant predictability. You can see the virus loading rate, which we measured virus concentration from the wastewater, and the service population, as well as the temperature, which is very important parameters about the virus decay. And then here then we set up our multiple linear regression model. From our figure, the left figure, the horizontal value shows the observed daily new cases. And then the vertical value shows what the predicted value based on our model, and then you can see it fits very well. So this is what we can have from this study, also from this model, because so far we continue the wastewater monitoring. So from this model, we can say that according to the variance from wastewater daily monitoring, we can estimate what may happen in 1 week, even though when the cases goes to a very low level, or even though the virus concentration goes to very low. According to the data we collected last week in March 18, and then we predict the daily new cases in Tamworth sewer shed is close to 3 people per day, and which is similar with what we have seen at the beginning of the pandemic before the cases goes up. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Laura Hawk to present the wastewater monitoring across the Tamworth sewer network.
Well, thank you, Lynn. I'd like to also acknowledge all the co-investigators on this project that are listed on the slide. And also we had a lot of help with the monitoring from the staff at the City of Sparks, Reno, and Washoe County. So on the next slide, I start with a map to give you an idea of what our sampling scheme looks like. So our goal was to monitor in residential neighborhoods throughout the Tamworth sewer shed. And as Lynn described, we divided the sewer shed into the 2 halves, with the Sparks catchment in the north and the Reno catchment to the west. And so that's indicated by purple dots for Reno and red diamonds for Sparks. And the sites are also numbered with, for example, S1 being the closest sampling site in the Sparks catchment to Tamworth, and then S6 being the furthest sampling site in the Sparks catchment from Tamworth. Then the results are shown in these heat maps, which are to the right of the map. And the heat maps provide a summary of the observed data. So the color scale indicates the magnitude of the viral concentrations that we observed at each sampling date. So the darkest red is the highest observed concentrations, and the green is the lowest or close to the detection limit. And we collected data over an 8-week period at all 12 sites, and we had sampling approximately 2 times per week at each of the sites. So going along the vertical axis in the top figure, you can see we start with the observed viral concentrations at Tamworth in the Sparks interceptor, and then going down at the closest sampling site in Sparks, and then all the way down to the bottom to the furthest out in Spanish Springs. And then moving along the horizontal axis, you can see how those viral concentrations changed over time. So a major goal of this research then was to understand what patterns existed between the observed data at these sites, either due to spatial correlations or other things such as potentially demographic or lifestyle differences between the sites. So we did this, as I present on the next slide, with some correlation analyses, spatial correlation analyses here. And you can see 3 of the result figures that I selected because they highlight some of our most important results throughout the study. So we have 1 result from early November, 1 in late November, and then early December. And the heat maps, the hotspots essentially tell you if there's a cluster of high viral concentrations sampling sites. And then similarly, a cold spot is a cluster of low viral concentrations. So that's shown in either red or blue dots. And the triangles indicate if it's a Sparks sampling site, while the circles represent if it's a Reno sampling site. So what you'll see here is we had 3 main clusters that we identified over the study period, which included in early November, the central Reno Sparks area emerged as a large hotspot, followed by in later November, a large hotspot in northern Sparks Spanish Springs area. And finally, starting in that period and moving into early December, we also had a cold spot emerge in West Reno. And so this data gives us insights into what kind of spatial relationships between sites, as well as what we can look for to try to understand how the virus travels through the community. And so now I'll give the handoff to Nilofer to tell you about her results in monitoring if the Tumorph treatment removes viral concentrations.
Thank you, Laura. So for the third task, as it has been reported by several studies around the world, and also this study, SARS-CoV-2 RNA is present in the wastewater influent of the facilities. That's why we decided to monitor its removal through Tumorph and to see if it's being safely removed. If you see the figure here on top, this shows the Tumorph treatment train. You can see it has been divided to 4 boxes. The first box is referring to the primary treatments that's happening. The second box refers to secondary treatments, third box, the tertiary, and finally, we have the filtration and chlorination. So for sampling purposes, we came up with 5 sampling points that you can see in the figure. And basically, we wanted to, for monitoring the virus removal, we wanted to follow the wastewater through the treatment plant. That's why, as you can see in the timeline, the first sample was collected around 10 a.m. each day, the second one at 12:45. Why 12:45? Because that's how long it takes for the wastewater to get from the point 1 to 2. Similarly, the samples were collected at points 3 and 4 and at 5, which is the final sampling point that's being discharged to the river. So basically, we are hoping to see that by the time that wastewater gets to the last point or point 5, the virus has been removed to below detection limits. On the bottom, you can see the table. On the left is just a sampling point, same as the figure. In the middle, we have the name of the locations that we took the samples. And finally, we have the detection frequency, which is basically we are saying how often we got the positive results of the virus presence in our samples. And you can see for the first influence samples, all of the samples were tested positive, basically saying the wastewater sampling were present in all of the samples that were tested, and also and came into the Tumorph treatment plant. Primary effluent samples were all also tested positive. The secondary effluent samples, that's where actually the main treatment of the facilities has begun. That's why we only got 4 out of 9 positive results. And also for tertiary and final effluent samples, we didn't detect any virus before discharging to the river. Here, I just want to mention that these samples were collected by the operators at Tumorph, which we really appreciate their help. So now we talked about the concentration. I just want the detection, how often we got the positive results. Now I want to show what was the concentration when we got the positive results. You can see here the box plot, it's the type of this figure. On the vertical axis, we have the virus concentration, and you can see it's being shown by the log 10 values. We usually just use this when we have big numbers. For example, 2 that shows on the vertical axis on the bottom means 1 followed by 2 zeros, 100 gene copies per liter, 3, 1 followed by 3 zeros, 1,000. And on the way top, we have 6, which is 1 followed by 6 zeros or 1,000,000 gene copies per liter. On the horizontal axis, we have the name of the sampling locations, starting from the way from the influent for both M1 and M2 going to the secondary effluent. We are not showing the tertiary and final effluent samples here because we didn't get any positive to show the concentration. The boxes themselves, they show the range and variability of the samples, the concentration. So the longer the box, we have the more variable data. So now if you look at the figure from left to right, basically we are moving through the wastewater treatment facility and more treatment is happening. The variability and concentration of the virus is decreasing and it gets to around the whole detection limit at the secondary effluent. And you have to consider that This is only by the secondary effluent. We are not even showing the tertiary and final that we couldn't detect anything. The other point from figure that can be seen is that the main removal is happening after the secondary treatment. So in conclusion, we can say the treatment processes that are taking place at Tom Wharf are effective enough to remove the virus. And this result is also being confirmed by the other results around the world. And basically we can say a typical wastewater treatment plant is enough and reliable to remove the virus before the end of its treatment. Now I turn this to Dr. Pagila for closing the presentation.
Thank you, Lena, for Laura and Lynn. Council members, I wanted you to see the people who were really doing the work in the field, out there in the field, sampling every day, analyzing in the lab. So you got a snapshot of that. We are not the complete list of people, but at least 3 from our group. A couple of dozen people worked on this project. So I just wanted to show you where we are going with it. As I mentioned right at the outset with the lab photo, that the equipment and the capacity we have available at the university can be used for other things. One of the things we are anticipating is looking at source control monitoring of other contaminants. Now we have the capability to go and sample anywhere in the sewer system, and we have the equipment, the safety gear, everything, and the analytical equipment in the lab, so we can use it for other work, including research at the wastewater treatment plant to improve the treatment processes, as well as the water quality that's going to the river. So this is really a big benefit out of this project that we have built the capacity. We are continuing to monitor the influent samples. We are not doing the sewer system samples, which require extreme and extensive amount of resources as well as people, but we are collecting the samples from Tom Wharf 3 times a week. The community partners, particularly Washoe County Health District, Washoe County, wanted to see this data ongoing so that they know if things are getting better or worse. And we know that for sure from most recent data, we are doing really great in terms of the viral concentration decreasing continuously and consistently. So we hope that this is useful information to the agencies that are responding to the pandemic itself. So we are continuing those samples, but albeit limited number of them. We have an opportunity to work with the public health groups, including our UNR Medical School and Nevada State Public Health Lab, where they are monitoring human populations, means testing data, and they are sequencing that positive cases for finding these variants. You keep hearing in the news, UK variant, Brazilian variants, now we even have California variants. And the plan is that we provide them the material, the genetic material we extract from the wastewater to the groups that are working at UNR in the medical school side. And if they are finding out whether we can detect these variants in the wastewater as well. So that would become a lot easier for us to do it at the community level, because the wastewater is a pooled sample of the community where we are collecting. So this is exciting work, at least from a research point of view, but we are also hoping to find some money from CDC in the upcoming months to continue this work. Likewise, since the pandemic is still around, we are looking to find money for continuing this work till the end of the pandemic and even beyond, because viral monitoring in wastewater or pathogen monitoring in wastewater is a very, very important field in public health management. So we hope we don't have to face this type of pandemic or any type of epidemic in the future, but at least we are prepared to continue this work. With that, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to let the council members ask any questions they might have.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the council? I'm going to ask you to take it off screen sharing, Dr. Puglia.
Yes, I'm doing that, Mayor Lawson. I just did that.
I have a quick question.
Yes, Mr. Dare.
Yes, thank you so much. Great information, and it's exciting to see what we can do. In my mind, one of the reasons I really like this is I could see us potentially being able to, once we get past where we're at now, uses as almost like an alarm bell for us to tell us we have something coming that we need to pay attention to. Can you speak to that for a minute? Because that's one of the things that I'm excited about and thought is that in the future it gives us a little bit of a tell to tell us how to react before it hits everyone so hard.
Yeah, Councilmember Daher, that's a very good question. This what we call wastewater-based epidemiology is used to do other things. For example, if we have certain constituents in the wastewater that might be affecting the plant, we can monitor them upstream in the sewer system and say where it is coming from different sources. Even, for example, salt that we have a permit on for Tumwater on how much TDS or salinity we can discharge to the river. So we can look around in the sewer shed, collect the samples, and say that here are the principal sources of salinity in our wastewater. Can we control that? Now, in terms of kind of warning type of stuff, we probably need a lot more real-time sensing if you are thinking in terms of hazards that can have an immediate impact. But the hazards that will have an impact after a few days or time, we can do this type of sampling and show that it's valuable in managing that hazard or that problem.
Thank you. I think it's great that we have this in place and whatever we can do. But I appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Spivey, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Doctor, and your team. Amazing presentation. A lot for us to absorb and try to, our science lesson for today, which is fascinating. And I think when you look at, you talk about the other possibilities, but even the presentation that you made, what I really appreciated is when they broke it down to Reno and Sparks and those, the hotspot maps where we could see where the hotspots within our community were, helps us working with the health district and as a community on where we need clinics, where we need either pop-up testing sites or where we need vaccinations, because your concentration is so much higher there. So how can we help the different regions within our region that seem to have and they talked, your staff talked about you trying to understand there's so many different variants of who lives there. What are the lifestyles? What are the businesses and residential businesses? What is contributing to, one neighborhood or one section of Sparks being higher or lower than the other? But I think regardless of, those reasons are important from a scientific standpoint, but I think the ability to see those can help us address where we need to go in or where the health department needs to go in to to further add assistance in testing people and in getting vaccines there. So your work is phenomenal. And is it still, how much longer will the team be taking samples? You said 3 times a week at Tumwater. And how long do you anticipate we'll be able to continue this work until through the end of the pandemic, or what are your thoughts?
Thank you, Council Member Spivey. We really appreciate your kind comments. We are continuing this work because we think it's very, very important we continue till the pandemic is over. And fortunately, we were able to have some supplies available to us from the period when we had the funding from the federal government. So we are using those supplies, and we have staff who are working on different other things, and we are asking them to use some of that time to do this monitoring. So at least we are hoping to continue till we find additional funding sources. We've applied funding from National Institute of NIH, as well as through the state, Nevada State Health Department. We are looking at possibly some funding from CDC, but these things take time. But we are trying to do our best to at least make sure the main plant, Tumwater Influent, is sampled 3 times a week. And the plant has been very, very cooperative and helpful, because now they are collecting the samples and delivering the sample to the lab. That really reduces our burden. So we will continue as long as we can. and hopefully we don't need to monitor it for too long and we have this pandemic ending and get back to normal things we can do. So, but we are trying to monitor as long as we can.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? I find this fascinating. Great work, Mr. Martini.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to take a quick moment. Boy, it feels like a long time ago, but it was only last April when I made a very strange call to Krishna and said, hey, we're hearing about this stuff. Can we do it? And Krishna's immediate answer was, yes, we can. We need to get some funding. And we presented that to the council. I want to thank you so much for your support on this very important research. We are, as a city, founding members of the Nevada Water Innovations Institute, which we're very proud of, which Krishna has really brought to a high level. And I think you're seeing some wonderful results of what we can now accomplish under his leadership up at UNR. It wasn't until August that we got the funding together. So all of the work that you saw today done by the team in front of you is a tremendous amount of work in a relatively short period of time. We gathered a lot of data. We've got some analysis. We've discovered a lot of things for a pandemic that we never really saw coming. And there was no playbook on this one. So, Krishna and his group have started that playbook for us. This data and this information will be shared at our state level. I've had a conversation with Krishna. It will likely be shared at national and international levels as well. So the sum of the parts for this global pandemic, our own university is playing a role in helping us understand it better and be prepared for the next time. So Krishna, thank you very much, your entire team. It was a wonderful effort. I know that our employees on our side very much enjoyed working with the research group, and that is one of the main reasons that we support the Nevada Water Innovations Institute. It is that sharing of great minds up at UNR with the wonderful minds here at the city to accomplish goals and discover and move forward. So thank you very much, and I'd really like to thank the council once again for the support. And now, I've got to do my job and give you a trailer. We are hearing there could be some additional federal funds coming to us shortly. I will investigate with Dr. Pagilla on, what we need moving forward to continue these studies and to continue this research. So stay tuned. When I've got information, we'll bring it forward to the council for consideration. So thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Mayor Lawson and City Council members.
Thank you. This is, like I said, it's fascinating stuff. What a great service for the community to predict not only hot spots, but just predict the amount of virus. And it helps with the planning and logistics of any kind of an emergency like this. And it's just amazing to me. So, and to have our own local university doing it, that makes everybody proud too. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to proclamations. And first, I have to apologize on the proclamations that it's Professional Land Surveyors Week is March 21 through 27. But due to a error on our part, we did not get it ready to present at this meeting. So it'll be presented on April 12th. But I wanted to let you know that Professional Land Surveyors Week is the 21st to the 27th. All right, so we'll move on to the next proclamation, which is organ donors. And let's move on. Whereas nearly 600 individuals in Nevada are currently on the National Organ Transplant waiting list, and 22 patients die each day due to the shortage of donated organs. And whereas Donor Network West has served as the federally designated organ procurement organization in Northern Nevada since 1987 and works in partnership with families, doctors, nurses, and coroners in the Northern Nevada hospitals to connect donors and recipients. And whereas organ and tissue donations are life-giving acts recognized worldwide as expressions of compassion to those in need that save thousands of lives every year. And whereas a single individual's donation of the heart, lungs, liver, kidney, pancreas, and small intestines can save up to 8 lives. Donation of tissue can save and heal the lives up to another 75. Whereas the spirit of giving and the decision to donate are not restricted by age, medical condition, and over 1 million Nevadas have signed with the state authorized Nevada Donor Registry to ensure that their wishes will be organ and tissue donors are honored. And whereas Nevada residents can sign up with the Nevada Donor Registry when applying for or renewing their driver's licenses or ID card at the Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles. Now, therefore, I, Ed Lawson, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, do hereby proclaim April 2021 as National Donate Life Month in the City of Sparks, and we encourage all Nevadans to check yes when applying for renewing their driver's license or ID card, or by signing up at www.donornetworkwest.org. And I am an organ donor myself and very proud of that fact. All right.
Mr. Mayor, we have Nicole Bishop on the line to say a few words.
Thank you. Hi,
Hi.
Nicole.
Hi, thank you so much for signing up to be an organ donor, and thank you so much for this proclamation in recognition of Donate Life Month, Donor Network West, and the many heroic donors that give hope to those waiting for a second chance at life. As you mentioned, there's over 108,000 people waiting on the national wait list for a life-saving gift, and nearly 600 right here in Nevada. And sadly, as you mentioned, 22 die waiting for an organ that may not come. So this is an honor to be here today for this recognition of this month. I thank you so much on behalf, thank you so much to the City of Sparks and the council members here for this proclamation. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. We appreciate all you do. This is an important thing.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's move on to item 7.3, Boards and Commission vacancy announcement for Civil Service Commission. Mr. Croots.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson and members of the council. For the record, Neil Croots, your city manager, here to announce a single vacancy. As the mayor mentioned, it's on the Civil Service Commission. It is to fulfill a partial term that will run through June 30th of 2023. Members cannot be city employees or related to an employee within the 3rd degree of consanguinity. Applications for that position will be accepted through this Friday, March 26th at 5 p.m. You can fill out an application for this vacancy by going to our website at www.cityofsparks.us/getinvolved. And that's all one word. Once you're there, click on volunteering for a Sparks Board, Commission, or Committee, fill out the form and press submit. Thank you very much, Mayor Lawson.
Okay, thank you. Consent items. Let's move on. 8.1. Anyone wishing to pull a consent item? Being the only one? If not, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Anderson.
I'll move to approve consent item 8.1.
Looking for a second. Second by Mr. Dare. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. 9.1, general business. Consideration, discussion, of possible approval of the building official's recommendation to appoint 2 members to the Building Code Board of Appeals, representing the registered architect or builder superintendent positions for 2 years, ending March 31st, 2023, from the following pool of applicants listed in alphabetical order: Frank Bedart, Mark DeWeese, Waylon Lowry, and Don Mackey. And I see Mr. Mark Miranda there. Mark, take it away.
Thank you and good afternoon, Mayor Lawson and council members. For the record, Mark Miranda, building official. The Building Code Board of Appeals is an independent board created to hear appeals of decisions made by the building official and interpretations of the building code. Currently, there are 2 vacancies, and my recommendations to fill the registered architect is Don Mackey, and my recommendation to fill the construction superintendent is Mark DeWeese. So with that, I'll field any questions anyone has.
Questions from the council? Okay, seeing none, I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Spivey.
I move to approve the building officials' recommendation to appoint Mark DeWeese and Don Mackey as the regional architect and the building superintendent representatives on the Building Code Board of Appeals with terms ending March 31st, 2023. And just wanted a sidebar comment that I've known Mark DeWeese for years and know that he is an incredible, will be an incredible asset to the city. And he's a good man. So I appreciate seeing his name there.
Agreed.
Okay. Looking for a second. Mr. Abbott, second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much.
All right, item 9.2, consideration discussion of possible approval of the mayor's appointment to the Sparks Planning Commission for a partial term ending December 31st, 2021 from the following pool of applicants listed in alphabetical order. Clara Andriola, Richard Orendo Ortiz, Candace Beck, Terry Frigoli, Damon Harrell, Kelly Luchetti, Jim Mormon, John Novak, Reed Peterson, Ricky Rodriguez Elkins, David Sosa, William Stewart, Alan Sterling, Joanne Tierman, and T. Tran. So number one, this is one of the great pleasures I've had in being on the council to have all these people interested in planning for your city. But at this time, I've asked that we appoint Clara Andriola to the Planning Commission. Yeah, Mr. Dare.
I can make that motion. I know Claire and I can speak very highly of her and her ability, and I've seen what she's done with the rodeo and just even in our whole community. She's a fellow Rotarian as well. I move to appoint Clara Andriola to the Sparks Planning Commission for a partial term ending December 31st, 2021.
Okay, looking for a second.
Mayor, I'll second.
Second by Vanderwell. All those in favor, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, guys. I think Claire's going to do a wonderful job for us. 9.3, consideration discussion of possible acceptance of a $10,000 grant from the Osman Foundation to assist in design and construction costs associated with the Sparks Marina All Abilities Playground. And John Erickson is going to present that for us today.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, City Council members, John Erickson, your city engineer. The item before you is the acceptance of a grant from the Osman Foundation. As you may recall, back in 2019 or May 28th, 2019, the City Council approved a budget for the park in the amount of $550,000 in the capital improvements plan. Then we received a grant back in October 14th of 2019 from the Sparks Rotary in the amount of $80,000. And then we received back in November 25th of 2019, a grant from the Reno Rodeo Foundation in $120,000 amount. Should the council approve the grant or accept the grant of $10,000, we would have a budget of $760,000. We've estimated the park at approximately $850,000. So we're roughly $90,000 short. In this morning's presentation from Mr. Kaysen, we are asking the council to consider a budget of $150,000 coming from RDA 2 or Redevelopment Agency 2. With that, we would have ample budget to bid the project and then award it in FY22 or fiscal year 22, start construction in the end of August, September timeframe. So staff is recommending that the council accept the grant.
Okay, questions from the council? Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you said it and I missed it, but what are you expecting if we get funding approved, the actual construction would start?
Well, the construction would start at the end of August or September of this year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the council? Okay, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Anderson,
Sure. Move to accept the $10,000 grant from Osmond Foundation to assist with the design and construction costs associated with the Sparks Marina All Abilities Playground.
okay, looking for a second. Second by Mr. Abbott. Any further discussion? And let me just tell you, this is exciting news for us. This has been going on for a while, so I can't wait to get this park in. It's going to be a great community asset. Mr. Dare, you had a question, comment?
I just want to make a statement too. I think it's fantastic that our community, from Rotarians to to Rodeo Foundation, everyone has stepped up to see this come in. And so this is the kind of collaboration I'd love to see on all of our projects. So really great, fantastic.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'm looking for, I got a motion second, right? Now I just need to, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Perfect. Nobody opposed. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. This is going to be fun, John. I can't wait to see it go, and it's going to be great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
9.4, consideration, discussion, and possible adoption of resolution number 3377 to augment the FY21 budget by $12,887,175 in various funds to provide appropriations for capital projects approved but not completed in prior years. And who's going to present this one? I didn't look at it, so I'm assuming.
Mr. Mayor, this is going to be Wayne Weber. He's on, but I don't see his video. And
Wayne.
There he is.
Wayne, go ahead, sir, when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson, members of the City Council. For the record, Wayne Weber, Budget Manager. Before you today is consideration and possible adoption of Resolution 3377 to augment the fiscal year 21 budget in the amount of $12,887,175 in various funds to provide for appropriations for capital projects. This is our annual CIP augmentation required by NRS. The budget team has worked with the project managers to provide short status updates on each project. The project list is attached to the agenda item for your review. During our review, we noticed that the recommended motion was incorrect and should be $12,887,175, which I apologize for. I have Brian Kaysen here with me, the Capitals project manager, in case you would like to ask any specific questions related to projects that you would care about.
Questions from the council? Okay, you got off easy, Brian. All right, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott.
I move to adopt resolution number 3377 to augment the FY21 Capital Projects Fund, Enterprise Fund, and Internal Service Fund by $12,887,175 to provide the appropriations for capital projects approved but not completed in prior years.
Okay, looking for a second. Second there. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
9.5, consideration, discussion, of possible approval of an expenditure of $59,844.46 to purchase play equipment for the Jack Revilio Memorial Park Playground from BCI Burke Company. And Brian, you're going to present this one.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the City Council. For the record, my name is Brian Kaysen, Capital Projects Manager. First of all, this project is for the purchase of play equipment for the Jack Revilio Memorial Park. We are bringing this to you prior to the construction contract, which will be going to council on April 12th. The reason being is because the equipment has a long lead time that we want to get it rolling before the construction contract, so we're not holding anything up. I'm going to share my screen and just basically bring up a map to show you where the project is located. So the project is located out in North Sparks off Vista Boulevard and directly on Truth Drive, right in this location right here. Ultimately, we do have a 2 to 5 year old playground and a 5 to 10 year old playground. The 2 to 5 year old playground is this layout right here. And then the 5 to 12 year old playground is this layout. If you'll notice the colors also, we chose to use basically blues and whites. That essentially is representative of Western Nevada Supply and in a memorial for Jack Robilio. That was an idea from the acting parks director. He thought that would be great for the family, and we all agree. We are using a joiner bid to purchase this equipment using the Intergovernmental Purchase Alliance, and this does provide a cost savings for the city of Sparks by going this route. Ultimately, staff recommends council approve the purchase of play equipment for the Jack Robilio Park in the amount of $59,844.46 to the BCI Burke Company. With that being the end of my presentation, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions from the council?
I do have one question. What are we putting down for a surface? I mean, I know what you showed here. Is that what you're putting down? You're putting down the foam, or are we?
Ultimately, the construction contract that'll be coming to you in April, we are going to be recommending using basically a synthetic bark material. We did have a rubber tiles as an alternate in the contract, but because of the cost and we do not have the additional funding to pay for that, we're going to just go ahead and recommend using bark.
Yeah, okay. I just know, I know when we use that though, we also have to keep replacing it, but yeah, okay. I think the cost is crazy no matter what we do, but thanks, appreciate it.
Okay, any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, please, go ahead.
I move to approve the purchase of play equipment for the Jack Robilio Memorial Park from BCI Burke Company LLC in the amount of $59,844.46. And I will say that my constituents in Ward 4 in that corner of town who have been writing me and emailing me for years on when their park is coming are going to be super excited that we finally have one coming. It could not be a better memorial park to a community leader. And I love that Tony came up with the concept of the blue. I think it's going to be awesome. So thank you.
Fantastic. Looking for a second. Second by Abbott.
Nope, he's got it.
Well, you weren't fast enough, Ms. Vanderwell. All right, any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, Brian again. Consideration, discussion of possible approval of a construction contract AC 5739 for the City Hall remodel project bid number 2021-008 PWP #WA 2021-135 with Group West Construction Inc. in the amount of $335,892.00.
Thank you. Again, for the record, Brian Kaysen, Capital Projects Manager. This project is for the City Hall remodel. It's actually 3 separate projects that we combined into one for a couple different reasons: to get economy of scale, for efficiency of the project, and also to minimize staff impact by shortening up the time frame for construction. Ultimately, each different project, I'll just go through and explain what they are and generally where they are. The first one is for the clerk's office remodel, and ultimately it's to create additional space for customer service and for the building department. We're going to remodel the existing mailroom and make that into the new customer service counter. And we've got some space down in the basement that we're going to add office space that'll accommodate also customer service staff. Secondly, we are going to remodel the restrooms over in the finance area. They're the original restrooms from when this building was built, roughly in around 1970. So they're in need of an update, and we're going to bring them up to current ADA standards and just update them to be a similar look and style and have the similar features to other restrooms throughout City Hall. And then lastly, the IT area, we're going to remodel that area, open it up, allow better utilization of the space and more functionality for the IT staff. Again, there were 6 formal bids that were received. The lowest bid was from Group West Construction in the amount of $335,892. And with that, staff recommends approval for the bid provided by Group West Construction for the City Hall remodel project. With that being the end of my presentation, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, questions from the council? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Dare.
I move to approve construction contract AC 5739 for the City Hall remodel project with Group West Construction Incorporated in the amount of $335,892.00.
Okay, looking for a second. Second, Mr. Anderson.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And you're going to be up for a bit here, aren't you, Brian?
One more.
Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a construction contract AC 5740 for the Police Department Dispatch Remodel Project bid number 2021-009 and a whole bunch of other letters with Group West Construction in the amount of $166,649. Brian.
Yeah, Brian Keeson, Capital Projects Manager. This project, of course, is give you a little bit of history. Basically, we've got consoles within the dispatch remodel area within the police department. The area has not been ever remodeled since the building was originally constructed in 1991, and they haven't replaced any of the consoles since around the early 2000s, and they're getting outdated, and they need to update the consoles and the software and everything involved in those. So this remodels the area, it expands it out. It allows them to expand out in the adjacent training room area to accommodate 4 more consoles, along with a new office and a storage area. And then also to remodel another section of that area to bring in a kitchen area for them to use. And then during this construction project, dispatch will be temporarily relocated down to the basement of the police department, where a small remodel was performed to accommodate them and their consoles during this construction project. And then ultimately that remodel area, along with the consoles, were purchased through separate funding, and I'll let Chief Crawford explain a little bit more detail on that.
There we go. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. The funding that we've used, you've heard a lot about it for the most part, has been the E911 funds, which is specifically identified for emergency dispatch centers. You also heard through it, through the body worn cameras. That's another way that those funds can be utilized. So we also recently asked for consideration for some upcoming costs for the desks that are required there. That are not your average office desk, as you can imagine. So you'll see that coming before you, but those funds are coming from there, and anything that we are short that doesn't fit within that stuff, we are utilizing some of our forfeiture funds that we have within the police accounts as well. I think I covered most of it, Brian, but let me know if I missed something on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, Chief. Lastly, with that, staff does recommend approval of the construction contract with Group West Construction for this PD dispatch remodel project in the amount of $166,649. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, questions from the council? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion. Mr.
Make the
Anderson,
motion.
yes,
Move to approve construction contract AC 5740 for the Police Department Dispatch Remodel Project with Group West Construction Incorporated in the amount of $166,649.
looking for a second. Ms. Bybee?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right, 9.8, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of professional services contract AC 5742 with JUB Engineering, Inc., the engineering design for the McCarran Boulevard and Prater Way sanitary sewer improvements project in the amount of $120,045.00. Mr. Porter, I assume you're going to talk to us.
That is correct. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, and members of council. For the record, Kevin Porter, Utility Manager. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show an exhibit of the project that Mayor Lawson just described. What you'll see on this exhibit is looking in the area primarily north of East Prater Way along McCarran Boulevard. And this is a sewer improvement project that was originally scoped out of our sanitary sewer master plan. It was approved in the fiscal year 21 CIP. And if you'll recall, there was a complementary project that was done along with RTC's East Prater Way improvement project that just recently completed. The original scoping was for this to all be one project, but because RTC was redoing the roadway, we certainly wanted to get the sewer improvements in along Prater before the roadway was repaved. And so what we've got left in this project is just one small piece along Prater into the Prater-McCarran intersection that will be upsized. And then the sewer running north of Prater up to Greenbrae along McCarran Boulevard will be upsized as well from a 24-inch to a 30-inch. And as you mentioned in the title, we've identified JUB Engineering to do the design work in the amount of just over $120,000, and staff recommends approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, question from the council. Okay, don't see any, so I'm looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Go right ahead.
I move to approve the professional services contract AC-5742 with JUB Engineers Incorporated for engineering design of the McCarran Boulevard and Prater Way sanitary sewer improvements project in the amount of $120,045.
$45.
$4,500. Apologize.
That's not right.
No,
120,000.
45.
45.
There we go. We just want to get the amount right.
Yeah.
We don't want Chet to have to defend us. Okay, so I got a first. I need a second.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Bybee, second. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all of the favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 9.9, consideration discussion of possible approval of change order number 1 to AC 5666, the fiscal year 20 sanitary sewer manhole rehabilitation project with National Coating and Lining, which provided for the rehabilitation of 70 sanitary sewer manholes in the amount of $638,849 to rehabilitate 30 additional sewer manholes in the additional amount of $231,517 for a total contract amount of $870,366. Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Once again, Kevin Porter for the record, Utility Manager. And I know there were a lot of numbers in that title, so I'm going to do my best to make some sense of them here. I'm going to share my screen again, and this is an exhibit showing the manholes that we have identified in this, this change order. If you'll recall, in fiscal year 20, we brought forward a manhole rehabilitation project that we were pretty excited about, with the intent of eliminating groundwater that was getting into the sanitary sewer collection system. And it was the first time that we've done that type of work in the city. And so we weren't 100% sure on the success that we would get, or what kind of performance we would get out of the contract. Well, now we're here before you with this change order because of the overwhelming success that we had on the first round of this project. Normally, when we bring change orders to council, they're because we found something in the ground that wasn't supposed to be there, or something was missed during design. But this is one of those rare cases where we get to actually bring a change order forward because of how well a project's been going. So we did 70 manholes originally, and here in a few slides, I will show some of the performance characteristics that we've seen. This slide is showing the vicinity map of the additional 30 manholes that we plan to do with this change order. You can see a cluster down on the lower part of the screen in the vicinity of Sparks Boulevard and Prater Way, north of Prater, and then another cluster up north, just north of Disc Drive along Sparks Boulevard. If you'll recall, the original project that we brought forward, there were a cluster in Wingfield Springs, and then also primarily in Kiley Ranch up north towards La Posada. I'm going to now stop sharing that exhibit and do my best to hurriedly share second exhibit. There we go. Did that exhibit change, Mayor Lawson? You seeing a graph now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm actually going to start on the second page of this graph, which is this page here. What you're seeing in this graph is a representation of the daily sewer flows that we've got. Two different graphs. We did two different sewer flow meters associated with the first round of this manhole rehab project. As I mentioned, we had clusters in Wingfield, Northeast Sparks, and then we also had a cluster along, primarily along Sparks Boulevard and north up into Kiley Ranch. And so what you're seeing here in this graphic is representation of the sewer flow per day during the project period coming from that Northeast Sparks or the Wingfield Springs area flow meter. And the way that we analyzed this was we looked at sewer flow at its very lowest point of the day, which is usually just after midnight, somewhere between midnight to 3 a.m., depending on the location. As you can imagine, most people aren't up using the bathroom, or at least not all at once, not as much washing machine, shower, dishwasher, those types of things being contributed to the system at that time. And so it really eliminates the noise and allows us to really see what the baseline flow in a system is. So that's what each of these blue bars, blue columns represent. The black dots are just a smoothing of that data to show the trend. What you'll see with this orange line is as we began rehabbing manholes, this is the count that was accomplished. And you can see on the far right of that chart, that sewer manhole count. The numbers on the left side of the chart represent the actual flow in million gallons per day that we were seeing at that meter. And so really what you can see here is you can see a slight ramp up before we started rehabbing manholes. And that's due to the fact that there's still houses coming online in both of these areas. So still more flow being contributed on these systems. But as soon as we started rehabbing manholes, we had a significant drop. There was a slight delay before kind of the second surge of manholes that we rehabbed, and then another significant drop in flow. And really what we saw out of this cluster was an elimination of approximately 5,000 gallons per day per manhole that we rehabbed, which we consider to be overwhelmingly significant. Now, the second chart, this represents the manholes that were out in the Kiley Ranch area, and the data still shows a reduction. But what's interesting here that we wanted to show is you can really see the ramp up as houses were coming online. We calculated from a conservative basis, 180 single family residences came online during the time of this project. And so you can see how that baseline flow, that 2 to 3 a.m. flow, ramping up just with the increase in homes coming online, and same performance as the last one. As we began rehabbing manholes, we were able to eliminate enough flow out of that system to even see a reduction from the original baseline. And so in each instance, the average came out just around 5,000 gallons per manhole, which, as I mentioned, we certainly deem as significant. And with that, that's our justification, our reasoning for wanting to bring another 30 manholes. The original contract, the manholes came out to approximately $9,000 per rehab. We're certainly getting some efficiencies with doing a change order. The same contractor is already mobilized. They understand the city sewer system, and so the price dropped per manhole down to approximately $7,700 per manhole for this change order. Staff recommends approval. The total of the change order is $231,517. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, Mr. Mayor.
Fascinating stuff there. The questions from the council. Mr. Dare.
I just want to say thank you for continuing to pursue this. When you guys first brought this up, it seems such a wise thing to do, and seeing the numbers only assure that. And so I would just encourage us to keep finding, if there's more manholes, let's go fix them, whatever, because I just think the result is amazing. And any other gold you can find, that would be great too, because that's what this is. It just really saves so much, especially on the other end. I can't wait to see what that even means for some of our other numbers on our sewage plant. So thank you. Great job.
Mr. Abbott.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to Mr. Porter and Mr. Elson for letting me go out whenever I went to actually see the project. And, you know, it looks like a swimming pool down there in the manhole. It looks kind of nice, which sounds weird, but just a cool project. And, you know, it's a good use of our money to, you know, help out the plant and not treat water that we don't need to treat. So good work there.
Thank you, Councilman Abbott.
Anyone else?
I just have to ask Donald Abbott, did you see you just went swimming in the manhole?
I'm gonna just not make a comment on that one and plead the fifth.
Okay. All right. I'm looking for a motion now that a visual has entered my head. Go ahead. Anybody? Mr. Anderson.
All right, I move to approve change order number 1 to AC 5666 with the fiscal year 20 sanitary sewer manhole rehabilitation project with National Coating and Lining Company, which provided for rehabilitation of 70 sanitary sewer manholes in the amount of $638,849 to rehabilitate 30 additional sanitary sewer manholes in an additional amount of $231,517 for a total contract amount of $870,366. And likewise, great job, Kevin and the guys. I mean, for finding something like this is amazing. Appreciate it.
All right, looking for a second.
I'll second.
Second by Vanderwell. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, 9.10. Consideration, discussion, of possible approval of a professional services contract AC 5741 with Far West Engineers for engineering design of the FY21 cured in place pipe, or the CIPP, sewer rehabilitation project in the amount of $93,000. Mr. Porter.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. And for the record, Kevin Porter, Utility Manager. I'm going to share an exhibit that represents our CIPP plan for fiscal year 21. This will look very similar to the exhibit that was shared during the workshop this morning. And really what this is This is the culmination of staff's time in evaluating that entire umbrella of assessment data that we spoke about during the workshop, and coming up with, obviously this was done in the past, this was done for this year, fiscal 21, but evaluating that assessment data and coming up with the segments of pipe that staff feels are the good candidates to have this cured in place pipe liner rehabilitation method used. You see some in the same vicinity that we spoke about this morning, the older area of town inside the McCarran Loop, and you kind of see the different clusters that we have. With this contract, this will be the design contract with Far West Engineering, and their marching orders will be twofold. Number one, they will be to confirm the segments that we've identified and identify some areas for efficiencies in terms of running a liner continuously through to where it would make sense to grab two of these different segments in one reach, and also to confirm our staff's assessments on the pipe candidates being good candidates for the CIPP method. And then the secondary part to what their contract will be for is to produce the construction documents so that we'll be able to move forward and advertise in construction. And they will also be assisting with construction administration in terms of inspection for the actual product being placed. Go ahead and stop sharing. And the amount was, I mentioned, $93,000. Staff recommends approval for this project. Be happy to answer any questions, Mr. Mayor.
Question from the council, Ms. Bybee.
Yeah, Kevin, can you real briefly for people? I mean, we just talked about it this morning, but I think it's a very interesting concept of what we're actually doing, what the cured in place with the sewer pipes are. I never thought I'd be that excited about a sewer pipe. Sewer pipe process, and it just is a technology that just kind of amazes me, but what we're doing to the pipes and what that means for longevity and for cost savings for the city.
Absolutely, Councilwoman Bybee, and thank you for bringing that point up. This is a rehabilitation method for underground pipe, and we're certainly using it for our sanitary sewer system. And it's a rehabilitation method, not a full replacement, but it's so beneficial. And the reason that we've just did a kind of a pilot last year. This is our first big attempt with it this year. But what we found is that certainly from a standpoint of constructability, you don't have to tear up the street to insert this liner, and so it's very non-destructive, and you certainly eliminate the cost of normal pipe replacement from having to dig up the street. And the second benefit is that you truly end up with a structural pipe liner, essentially a new PVC pipe that does have structural integrity, structural strength to it. It extends the life of the existing pipe by anywhere from 20 to 50 years. And the best part of it is that it costs on the order of 5 times less than a new pipe replacement. And then just to touch on the reason we would do it is we've got in that older area of town, we've got a lot of old concrete sewer pipe that we're seeing some significant deterioration on, both from just age and then from hydrogen sulfide gas and the sewage eating at that interior of the pipe. And we just feel strongly that this is for the pipe segments that are true candidates for it, we feel that this is a very cost-effective means of extending the lifespan of those pipe segments.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Please.
I move to approve the professional services contract AC 5741 with Far West Engineers for engineering design of the fiscal year cured in place pipe sewer rehabilitation project in the amount of $93,000.
Okay, looking for a second. Second by Mr. Abbott. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries unanimously. 9.11, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of agreement AC 5743 with Truckee Meadows Water Authority and the estimated amount of $51,110 for the lease of water rights to satisfy reclaimed water return flow requirements for the Truckee River. Kevin, are you going to present this one also?
I am. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This will be my last one for today. Once again, Kevin Porter, Utility Manager for the record. And this is a contract with Tumwa, essentially to lease water rights to manage the return flow requirement associated with effluent water use that the city intends to provide to the contractor for the Five Ridges development. What I'm going to do is share a table that I believe helps kind of explain the necessity for this contract. So the Five Ridges contractor and developer reached out to the city and inquired into the ability to receive reclaimed water, and they requested an amount on the order of 780 acre feet for about a 15-month time frame. And it's always kind of conceptually hard to imagine what an acre foot of water is, but if you can imagine a football field and then stacking a column of water vertically, it would come out to about 600 feet high over that football field of water is the amount of 780 acre feet. And because that amount of water is so sizable over the time period that they want to use it, we need to be able to find a means of balancing the return flow requirement in the Truckee River. You've heard over the past several years, we've brought forward some different TROA, Truckee River Operating Agreement, items that deal with return flow management. And essentially, when we remove water from Tumwharf and put it into the reclaimed or the purple pipe system, there has to be a water right that backs that up, another additional water right that leaves water in the Truckee River so that the river remains whole. And that's essentially what this contract's getting at. This table breaks down the expected water use over the 15-month period for the Five Ridges development. And sometimes, as I mentioned, the acre feet is a hard thing to conceptualize in your mind, but you can see there it's also broken down into gallons. So really, as construction ramps up, they're anticipating the use of on the order of 20 million gallons a month. To do this, Tumwa has a fee that allows agencies to lease water rights to do essentially what I just described, leave the water in the river. And that ultimately is what will allow us to provide this quantity of water to the Five Ridges project. You can see by this table, the total there is what the contract amount for. That's the city's responsibility in contracting with Tumwa in the amount of $51,000. And then based on what our effluent rate is for construction water, this is what the anticipated revenue will be to the city's effluent program on the order of $467,000. And in conversations with the Five Ridges development and the construction manager and the contractor, it's really a win-win for both parties. They looked at getting water directly from Tumwa. It's about double in terms of what we charge for the reclaimed water. And they were going to have some serious pressure issues getting the water to the site, getting the volume and quantity of water to the site. And so by contracting with the city for this reclaimed water, we save the contractor a little bit of money, give them the amount of water they need in the timeliness period. And anytime we find creative ways for effluent disposal, it's always a win-win for the city. It helps the plant meet its permit, and it's a good use of the infrastructure in the ground. And so with that, staff recommends approval of this item, and I'd certainly be happy to answer any questions.
All right, questions from the council? Mr. Nope. No? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion then. Mr. Dare.
I can make a motion.
Okay.
Let me make sure I pull up the right. Hold on, my computer's loading to make sure I have the right motion. And I move to approve agreement AC 5743 with Truckee Meadows Water Authority and the estimated amount of $51,110 for the lease of water rights to satisfy reclaimed water return flow requirement for the Truckee River.
Okay, looking for a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, 9.12, consideration and possible discussion, possible action on a request for a tentative map for 356 lot townhome and detached single family house subdivision on a site approximately 52.07 acres in size with the NUD New Urban District Stonebrook zoning district, generally located southeast of Pyramid and south of La Posada Drive, Sparks, Nevada. Sienna, welcome.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. For the record, Sienna Reed with the Planning Division presenting this item today. So I do have an actual presentation that I need to get shared. So let me get that up and ready. Can everybody see the initial page with Stonebrook Phase 3 villages AA and BB?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Right, so before you today is a request for a tentative map for Phase 3 villages AA and BB located in the Stonebrook Plan Development. And notably, this is the last tentative map within the Stonebrook Plan Development, which was initially approved in 2006. Villages AA and BB are outlined in red on this slide, and then the larger Stonebrook Plan Development boundary is shown in blue. Villages AA and BB are generally located in the central portion of Stonebrook on the north side of Opio Ranch Parkway. The proposed tentative map consists of 356 townhome and detached single-family lots on 52.07 acres. The lots are fairly evenly split, with 164 townhome lots comprising 46% of the subdivision, and then 192 detached single-family lots comprising 54% of the subdivision. The lots range in size from approximately 2,880 to 8,201 square feet, and then the gross density of the project is 6.8 dwelling units per acre. On this slide, you can see the preliminary landscape plan for villages AA and BB that does a good job illustrating the overall subdivision design. Here you can see access is going to be provided from 2 points on Opio Ranch Parkway. And as proposed, the 164 townhome lots are planned for townhomes with 2 units per building. These townhome lots you can see on this slide shown in light yellow, and they are located, as you can see here with my cursor, generally on the eastern portion of the project site. And the average lot size for the townhome lots is 3,296 square feet. The remaining 192 lots that are located on the western portion of the site and illustrated in green, those are planned to accommodate detached single-family homes on smaller lots. These lots are generally designed to meet the patio home standards in the Stonebrook Handbook, and the average lot size for those patio home lots is 3,770 square feet. You can see that we also have open space located on the north and east sides of this proposed subdivision, adjacent to the Reach 4 Regional Flood Control Facility. Here on this slide, you can take a look at the preliminary architectural elevations for the patio home lots. These elevations show each house model will be a 2-story house design, and the colors, materials, and roof forms comply with the architectural standards in the handbook. On this slide, you can see the elevations for the townhome lots. Each townhome building will include 2 dwelling units, and this product is commonly referred to as a duet. These townhouse models are also 2-story designs and have been designed to comply with the architectural and the standards in the handbook as well. And those are the standards that govern, again, building design in relation to the colors, materials, and form. So as you know, we have a fair few findings associated with tentative maps that need to be discussed for the record. So we'll transition to those findings with this slide, and they are for the most part in numerical order, with the exception of those findings related to streets. And starting off here with finding T1, which is conformance with the comprehensive plan. The 356 lots proposed with this tentative map are going to provide small lot detached single family and townhome housing products that enhance housing diversity in the city of Sparks, which advances policies H1 and H2 related to housing supply and diversity. Policy CC8 encourages neighborhood diversity with varied lot sizes, as well as a mix of architectural styles, materials, and colors. The proposed subdivision includes those varied lot sizes, and the preliminary architectural elevations that we just reviewed were designed to comply with the handbook standards. Looking at policy C4, sidewalks are proposed on both sides of the street per the handbook and in compliance with this policy, and city services to the site can be provided at acceptable service levels, as was previously evaluated with the handbook approval. On this slide, we have findings T2 and T7, each relating to streets. For conformance with the city's street master plan, project access is again provided from Opio Ranch Parkway, and that's consistent with the handbook approval. Finding T7 looks at impacts to public streets. Here we had an updated trip generation letter indicating the proposed subdivision will generate 3,534 average daily trips. These trips, when added to all trips for single family development in Stonebrook, are similar to those identified in the master traffic study that informed roadway network design, and thus adequate capacity is available to accommodate the trips for this subdivision. RTC agreed with that conclusion in a comment letter that they provided. Moving on to finding T3, agencies that regulate environmental impacts did not provide comments on the proposed subdivision. However, the developer does need to meet local, county, and state requirements in regards to environmental impacts. Finding T4 focuses on the availability of water to serve the site. Municipal water service will be provided by the Truckee Meadows Water Authority, or TUMWA, and the domestic water requirement for the 356 lots is estimated at just a little over 302 acre-feet per year. Finding T5 looks at the availability of utilities to serve the site, including sewer and storm drain capacity. For sewer, the applicant estimates that 356 lots will generate 124,600 gallons of sewage per day. The applicant needs to provide evidence that there's adequate sewer capacity to serve the project prior to recording any final map, and the city has accounted for that sewer capacity in studies conducted at the handbook approval stage. And then for stormwater and drainage, we need to have a final stormwater and drainage plan for the development prior to recording any final map. Finding T6 looks at the availability of schools, police, transportation, and parks. For schools, the Washoe County School District comments indicate that the project will add 63 new students to Bow Hatch Elementary, 30 new students to Sky Ranch Middle School, and 28 new students to Spanish Springs High School. Bow Hatch Elementary is projected to remain under capacity for at least 5 years. Sky Ranch Middle, while recently constructed, is projected to be over capacity in the next 5 years. So options to alleviate higher enrollments projected at Sky Ranch Middle that were identified by the school district include the construction of additions to that school and potential adjustments to enrollment boundaries. Spanish Springs High School is currently over capacity. However, enrollment relief at Spanish Springs High is anticipated with the opening of the new Hug High School in the fall of 2022. With regards to police services, the Sparks Police Department will provide those services to the site, and they express no concerns with the current proposal. As previously discussed, the roadway network for Stonebrook was designed to accommodate the trips associated with this subdivision, and parks will be provided consistent with the handbook that plans for a 20-acre community park site adjacent to La Posada and north of villages AA and BB. Finding T8 on this slide addresses floodplain, slopes, and soil. Here, the lots proposed with this tentative map do not fall within the floodplain, and the site's predominantly flat and does not trigger any of those standards for development of sites that contain significant slopes. To address soils, final geotechnical reports are required at the time of final map. In regards to outside agency responses per finding T9, both the school district and RTC provided comments, and those were previously discussed. And here, finding 10 on this slide also asks you to consider the availability of fire protection services. Here, the project site is located just slightly outside the 4-minute travel time standard for the Sparks Fire Department. However, residential fire sprinklers are not required due to the alternative protection measures specified in the Stonebrook Handbook. These include a radio and paging system installed in Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District Station 46 and emergency access through the Stonebrook Plan Development. The city also has an agreement with the Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District for automatic aid to serve this area. Finding T11 looks to other impacts identified in staff's analysis of this proposal. Here we've identified landscaping area maintenance, architecture, and fencing. Condition 12 addresses landscaping with the requirement that a landscape maintenance association maintain common areas throughout the project. Condition 8 requires final architectural elevations be approved prior to recording a final map. And condition 15 requires final fencing plans, also at final map. And finally, finding T12 requires the public be notified of this item. Here, the posting of the agenda for this meeting, as well as the Planning Commission, serve to provide that noticing to the public, and both agendas were posted in compliance with state law. So wrapping up here, the Planning Commission considered the 12 findings just discussed on February 4th of this year and unanimously recommends approval of this tentative map. There's a suggested motion both on this slide and in the staff report to that effect. And so with that, I'll conclude my presentation and be happy to answer any questions that you might have on this tentative map request.
All right, questions from the council? You're gonna have to speak up. I can't see you. No questions.
I'm prepared to make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
I move to approve the tentative map for a 356 lot townhome and detached single-family subdivision on a site approximately 52.07 acres in size within the NUD New Urban District Stonebrook zoning district, generally located southeast of Pyramid Way and south of the La Posada Drive, Sparks, Nevada, adopting findings T1 through T12 and the facts supporting these findings as set forth in the staff report and subject to conditions of approval 1 through 16.
I'll second.
second from Vanderwell. Any further discussion?
A quick question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, when it comes to, we pass on the fire side of what's going on with us having a potential fire station going in, what do are we just requiring sprinklers because is that kind of how we walk forward because we don't have a fire station yet? Could that potentially change midstream if we end up getting fire station in place before they build, or what's the conversation on that?
Through you, Mayor Lawson, if it's okay to jump in.
Please.
All right, so Sienna Reed, again, for the record, right now the handbook specifies provisions as to why fire sprinklers are not required. And we do have, as I mentioned, that automatic aid agreement so that we have Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District firefighters going to the Stonebrook site. However, in terms of how geographies could be impacted and how that might change the Stonebrook area or even potentially other areas, I do think that that's a question that is probably most appropriate to direct towards Chief Reed. So I know that he is available and on this meeting, so I'll go ahead and let him step in on that question. Moving him over right now.
There we go. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Did Sierra or Sienna answer your question, Mr. Adair?
I think it does. I just think it's something where I'm trying to make sure as we lay this out that we keep in mind what it means to have this fire station and how important it is.
Right.
But I get what we've done.
Yeah,
Okay.
you go back to the original handbook in 06, and some of that stuff was taken care of with the automatic aid with Truckee Meadows.
Okay. Any further questions from the council? All right, I have a motion and a second. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, 9.13, first reading of bill number 2782. Do I need to read all through this, Madam Clerk?
No, you do not, Mr. Mayor.
You're going to repeat everything I say anyways, right?
Absolutely am. This is the first reading of Bill number 2782 to amend the final approved plan for Legends at Sparks Marina, located on a site approximately 148 acres in size, generally situated north of I-80, south of Prater Way, and west of Sparks Boulevard, Sparks, Nevada, in the NUD New Urban District Legends at Sparks Marina zoning district, to modify the application of certain standards related to signs and revise the development standards and landscaping requirements associated with the buffer wall along the western boundary of the site. PCN 20-0047/PD 20-0006. A public hearing will be held and bill number 2782 will be acted upon at the regular city council meeting on Monday, April 12th, 2021 at 2 p.m. during a virtual meeting hosted in Zoom.
Okay, we'll move on to item 10, no public hearing. Item 11, we have no planning and zoning public hearing. So that brings us to 12.1, comments from the public. Madam Clerk.
If anybody would like to participate in public comment at this time, please press *9 from your telephone or use the raise your hand feature on your Zoom app. I'm showing none, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. 12.2, comments from the mayor, city council, and city manager. Anybody wishing to speak? Mr. Abbott.
Yeah, I would like to give some direction to city manager. So I'd like the city manager to investigate the potential for allowing marijuana dispensaries to use drive-throughs for making sales. I'm interested in learning what, if any, guidance or regulation has been established by the State Cannabis Compliance Board, and what, if any, changes could be considered to allow it in Sparks.
Okay, I think Mr. Kreutz is aware of that request already, so we just made it official. Appreciate that. And then there's one other thing that we have to do here. And let me pull it up. Mr. Dare, do you want to lead this? You want me to go ahead and say?
Well, let's go ahead and just kind of, I do have something I can read that was given to us from a certain somebody. And so I'm going to, read that real quick. And so 1 second, I'm pulling it up right now. And it says, the Sons and Daughters of Aaron Irish Heritage Organization asked me to present this plaque during the council meeting to our colleague Donald Abbott, because unfortunately, due to the pandemic, they were unable to hold a dinner to publicly present it to him. He was nominated as Irish Person of the Year for his outstanding service to our community, in addition to contributions to our organization. Passionate about his community, Donald continuously volunteers time and talent to local schools, organizations, events, often with the use of his photography, business, avatography. He led his graduating class of 2008 to create a scholarship for Sparks High graduates. Pretty much this thing just says Donald is awesome, awesome, awesome with some Irish accent. And at the very end, it says looking after friends and family as well as the community as a whole and being that helping hand and putting the needs of others first. I'd use my best Irish accent, but you wouldn't like it. So I'll just say that. And what do you think?
Thank you guys so much. Definitely making my day. And I love that you guys put Donald on the bottom, which is the Irish version of Donald. So that's so cool. Thank you.
I think we have, Madam Clerk, we may have someone that wants to speak at this time. Can we open public comment
They
back
couldn't
up?
make.
No, they didn't make it?
Ne-
Okay,
They couldn't make it, so they sent me that. So that's
Well-
perfect. They're happy.
what a great award for Councilman Abbott. And he does do all the great things in the community, and we appreciate what you do, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, well, do we have any other comments from the council, city manager? Okay, with that, we're moving on to item 13. Without objection, we are adjourned.
Okay, don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. You're not done yet.
You're not done yet. Okay, I would like to call to order the Sparks Redevelopment Agency meeting of Monday, March 22nd, 2021 with the roll call, Madam Clerk.
Chairperson Bybee,
Here.
agency members Abbott, Vanderwell,
Here.
Anderson,
Here.
Lawson,
Here.
Air,
Here.
Chief Legal Officer Adams,
Here.
Chief Administrative Officer Cruz.
Here.
We have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you. We just have to work with our millennial on how to unmute himself. Sorry,
I was using
couldn't
the space
resist.
bar and they got me. Sorry.
Couldn't resist. Anyway, let's go to item 3, public comment. Do we have any public comment, Madam Clerk?
If anybody wishes to participate in public comment at this time, please press *9 from your telephone or use the raise your hand feature on your Zoom app. And I'm showing none, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 4, agenda, approval of the agenda. Looking for a motion to approve. Anybody?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'll move to approve the agenda with the request to remove item 6.2, please.
Okay, I have a motion from agency member Anderson to approve the agenda with the removal of item 6.2. And I have a second from agency member Vanderwell.
Yes.
Okay, any discussion? Actually, I am going to, let's go ahead and vote, and then I have a statement to make. So all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I do have a statement to make regarding item number 6.2. The city attorney's office has informed me that the labor commissioner recently granted the redevelopment agency's petition for reconsideration and is asking for more briefing. Given that the petition for reconsideration was granted, the underlying order from the labor commissioner for item 6.2 is no longer in effect and the issue is moot. Based on these recent changes, we just approved to move the agenda with the removal of item 6.2. So just an explanation. Okay, let's move on to item 5.1. Minutes, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the minutes for the Sparks Redevelopment Agency meeting, February 22nd, 2021. Any corrections, additions, or a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Okay, I have a motion to approve by agency member Dare, second by agency member Lawson. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 6.1, consideration, possible acceptance of the report of the claims and bills approved for payment and appropriation transfers for the period of February 4th, 2021 through March 3rd, 2021. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by agency member Lawson, second by agency member Abbott. Did you second?
It is Paul, but
Okay, I know I had to decide who I saw first. So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 7.1, comments from the public. Madam Clerk, do we have any comments from the public now?
If anybody would like to participate in public comment at this time, please press *9 from your telephone or use the raise your hand feature on your Zoom app. And I'm showing none, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 7.2, comments from the agency and Chief Administrative Officer. Any comments? Okay, seeing no comments, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.